Hello everybody, this is Kiereek here, and today we're doing a review as part of the review and release series for The Witcher. Now this is the first Witcher game, and it's the director's cut edition, the one that came out, not the original one that came out again on Steam. Now, what it is a real-time RPG-like game that has quite a long story. It's quest-driven, so the whole game is progressed through quests, story quests, fetch quests, um, grinding quests, things like that. And as you progress, you make your choices, you level up, you allocate your levels to skills and improve your skills, such as swordsmanship, magic spells, alchemy, things like that. And you're going to kill a lot of monsters and a lot of people as you roam around. And it's quite a long game, so buckle up. Now the pros, it's a well-made world. It's very detailed. There's lots of buildings, lots of streets, lots of people walking around, and the lore is pretty good. I really enjoy the actual lore, like the idea of the Witchers. The monsters that they've created for this world are absolutely wonderful. Like I love the ghouls, I love the different kinds of mutants and things like that, and the different areas of the town. You don't see very much of this world. You basically see the town area, the swamp, the fields, and a little bit of like a foresty kind of village area at the beginning, and it all fits together pretty well. It's logically connected, so you can see on the map how they intersect, how they are connected, and how you travel between certain areas. Now, the characters in the game, I think, are actually pretty inventive. There's lots of different kinds of creatures that you'll talk to, not only humans. Vodnoi, which are like a fish people. There's this one race which only seems to be women, and they're like plant women. You know, a lot of the women you see in this game, they definitely sexualize them a lot. And I'm not saying I'm complaining, but just to be prepared for it, if that's not your thing. Now, it's a long game. It's going to take you a long time to beat. Not so much because of the amount of different content, but the amount of quests that there is in general and the amount of running around you'll do. Now, if you enjoy that, that's great. For me, it was actually a little too long, but I gotta give them points for the effort they put in. The amount of story work they went to it, the amount of writing, and when you are doing these quests, even though a lot of them are fetch quests, the story quests themselves, you can see they are writing a very detailed narrative. I would like the story as it is, maybe played out in different form, not game form. The hand-drawn art was actually one of my favorite parts of this game. At times, you'll get little story portions where it'll show you hand-drawn pictures of the action that's going on. They're not animations, they're just one frame, and it kind of zooms in, zooms out to give you an effect. But they are beautiful, and I made sure to take a screen cap of most of them so I can make a little collage later or something. There is also hand-drawn art for a lot of the women, and when you complete special tasks, you get a little sexy time picture with them, and yeah, those are pretty nice too. I won't complain. Now for the cons, unfortunately I got quite a few of them. The story itself, although it's an interesting idea for a story, and I could see they put a lot of writing into it, I feel like it wasn't that well put together, that well directed. So it would basically do this, oh yeah, he's got to do this. Oh, we got this idea that maybe if this person needs to be cured, he needs to go get this. Oh, they can't be cured like that. I guess they're going to have to go do this. And lots of ideas, but not necessarily interesting at all times. I found it really picked up near the end. The last portion where the town is really in its most dire straits. I won't spoil anything, but that was truly the best portion for me. It felt like I was actually involved, serious things were happening, and I had to make a lot of serious choices. In the beginning, in the middle phase, it felt like I was just grinding. I'm working my way through it, and I really didn't enjoy that much. Now, part of that is the characters. They're kind of underdeveloped. For example, let's take Geralt, your main character. He seems like he could be a real badass. The opening movie, when you start the game, is completely awesome. And when you start playing, unfortunately, his speech is just so incredibly robotic, monotonous, and it doesn't really help you resonate with him as a character. Like he gives off this portrayal, and they're always talking about him as like this really badass guy, but he has absolutely no personality. And as a result, it's like, wow, I just can't care any less about him. Even like characters like Shawnee and Triss. Triss was a little bit more characterized. Shawnee seemed like flipped back and forth. I don't think she was that well written. At times, she was really awesome and sweet, and at other times, she turned into a total bitch, and I couldn't understand what happened there. Now, the combat is arguably the worst part of the game. It's basically like an MMO. You click an enemy, except it's timed. It'll show you a little sword, and when it flashes like a sword on fire, you click again. That's about as fun as it can make it sound. Now, a lot of the times it seems you get beat up a lot. You need to use potions on the harder difficulties for sure if you want to survive. And the fire spell, in my opinion, is the best form of that combat. Like, I just pumped up my fire spell, Igni, and I let it rip everyone a new one. Because doing the actual sword fighting was really boring for me. I couldn't stand it. And it felt like bullshit when you died. Sometimes you just got comboed, absolutely stun locked, and you died horribly. That made me put down the game for a week or so. Now, the quests I mentioned before, incredibly grindy at times. Like an MMO, it does say, go here, do this, kill X number of these enemies. Or go here, find me so many of this material and bring it back. I can't stand those quests. That's not why I play single player games. That's an MMO quest. Should never be a single player RPG quest. So, screw that. I skipped as many of those as I could. The voice acting I mentioned before, really bad. I wish they could have done better with that. Not all the voice actors' fault. A lot of that I think is the writers' fault as well. But it's surprising that they accepted those takes, in my opinion. Like the sound engineers, when you're doing your recording, you'd have a director, I assume, as well. And somebody should have been like, whoa, let's stop here and think about delivering these lines with some emotion. So, yeah, hopefully it's improved in the next games. I haven't played the second or third one yet, although I do own the second one, and I'm hoping they improve it. I really do. For the score, starting with the gameplay, I mentioned before, combat sucks. It controls like an MMO, and only MMOs should control like that. I had to give it a 1 out of 3. The biggest problem for me was the gameplay. It made me want to just quit at times. And the only reason I persevered through the game is because I decided to cheat my way through it just so I could experience the story. For the addiction, like I said, it's not really that addicting when you're doing the same thing over and over, and I never particularly look forward to the next part of the story until the end of the game. So I'd have to give it a 0.5 out of 2. Unfortunately, I don't find this game very addicting. Maybe if you're really into MMOs and grinding and stuff like that, you might enjoy it, but I couldn't do it. Reliability, I'm going to give it a 1 out of 1, and here's the reason. During the game, I did experience some crashes, but like I said, I was kind of cheating a little bit, so I can't attribute that to the game itself. As far as I know, the game usually runs pretty stably, but feel free to correct me otherwise. I don't want to give it a bad rating just because of my tampering. For the atmosphere, I actually feel the atmosphere was okay. Like I said, they did a good job of building the cities, building the environments, and although they're a little repetitive, all the creatures in there, all the civilians talking, walking around, it creates a really nice atmosphere. I do like that. Good craftsmanship in that regard. So I'm going to give it a 1 out of 2. I think it's a pretty fair score for what they had. Replay value, this is probably the most harsh thing I've ever done, but I'm going to give it a 0 out of 2. I know there's multiple endings. Okay, my ending I chose was neutral. You can also side with the Order, or you can side with the non-humans, but I don't see why I would go back to replay it again for that. And honestly, it was such a pain in the ass to play it the first time. I don't think there's anything that could change my mind. Maybe if you really wanted to see the other two endings, or you wanted to get everything in the game, all the sexy cards, all the little different choices, see what happens, what's the difference, then I get it. But I would actually suggest just watching those options on YouTube instead. That means our total score is a 3.5 out of 10. Not great. If you really want to play it and you're like me, you can force yourself through it. I needed to get through it because I do want to play the second one at some point, and I don't just like reading about the story online or watching videos. That's not right for me. So I don't necessarily recommend playing through it unless you're absolutely dedicated to it, but it is fairly cheap. You can usually get it as a pack with the second one for like $5. So yeah, it's up to you. Buy it if you have the money, don't feel pressured. Thanks for watching, guys. Watch some of my other videos and have yourselves a great day. I'll see you again real soon.